My parents gave everything to my golden child sister. Then they needed me. My parents always said they loved their children equally. Nobody believed them. Not even them. Because everyone knew the truth. My younger sister, Emily, was the favorite. Growing up, she could do no wrong. If she got a bad grade, my parents blamed the teacher. If she broke something, it wasn't her fault. If she got into trouble, someone else was responsible. Meanwhile, I was expected to be perfect. I still remember my 16th birthday. My parents forgot. Completely. Not a card. Not a cake. Nothing. Meanwhile, 2 months later, they spent thousands on Emily's birthday party. There were decorations. A DJ. Dozens of guests. Even a rented limousine. That night, I sat alone in my room pretending it didn't bother me. But it did. It always did. The older I got, the worse it became. When I graduated high school with honors, my parents barely acknowledged it. My father shook my hand. My mother said she was proud. That was it. The following year, Emily graduated with average grades. My parents threw another huge celebration. Relatives flew in from other states. There were speeches, gifts, photographs, everything. I learned an important lesson that day. No matter what I accomplished, it would never be enough. After graduation, I worked full-time while attending college. Money was tight. Very tight. Sometimes I skipped meals to save money. One semester, I was short $3,000 for tuition. I swallowed my pride and asked my parents for help. My father didn't even hesitate. No. That was his answer. Just one word. No. A month later, my parents bought Emily a brand new SUV because she needed reliable transportation. The SUV cost more than my entire tuition. I stopped asking for help after that. Eventually, I graduated, found a job, moved across the country, and slowly started building a life of my own. For the first time, I felt free. No comparisons. No favoritism. No reminders that I came second. Years passed. I worked harder than anyone around me. While friends went out partying, I stayed late at the office. While others spent money, I invested. Every promotion led to another opportunity. Every opportunity led to another promotion. By the time I turned 35, I was doing better than I ever imagined. Not rich, but comfortable. Very comfortable. Then one afternoon, my phone rang. It was my mother. I hadn't spoken to her in nearly a year. Immediately, I knew something was wrong. My mother never called unless she wanted something. After a few minutes of awkward small talk, she finally got to the point. Emily is starting a business. I almost laughed. Emily had started dozens of businesses. Every single one failed. A bakery. An online clothing store. A photography company. A dog walking service. Nothing lasted more than 6 months. Mom continued. This one is different. Of course it was. They always said that. Then came the question. The question I had already predicted. We were hoping you could invest. I asked how much. The silence told me everything. Then she said the number. $250,000. I nearly dropped my phone. $250,000. My parents never gave me $3,000 for college. Now they wanted $250,000 for Emily. I couldn't believe it. When I said no, my mother's tone changed immediately. She became cold. Angry. Disappointed. Exactly the way she always became when Emily didn't get what she wanted. Family helps family. I laughed. For the first time during the entire conversation. Then I answered. Interesting, I don't remember family helping me. The line went silent. Then I hung up. The next few weeks were chaos. My father called. My sister called. My aunt called. Even cousins I hadn't spoken to in years suddenly appeared. Apparently I was selfish. Apparently I was greedy. Apparently success had changed me. Nobody mentioned the years I struggled alone. Nobody mentioned college. Nobody mentioned the SUV. Funny how that works. Eventually the calls stopped. And life moved on. At least for a while. 3 years later, I received another phone call. This time it was my father. And he sounded terrified. Part 2. I answered immediately. My father was never emotional. Never. Growing up, I had seen him cry exactly once. At his own father's funeral. Now his voice was shaking. Dad. There was a long silence. Then he spoke. We need help. My stomach dropped. What happened? The answer came slowly. Emily's business had collapsed. Not just failed. Collapsed. Apparently, my parents had invested nearly everything they owned. Their retirement savings. Their emergency fund. Even money borrowed against their house. Then things got worse. Much worse. Emily had secretly taken out loans. Huge loans. Loans she couldn't repay. And because my parents had co-signed several documents, creditors were now coming after them too. The bank was preparing to foreclose on their home. The same home I grew up in. The same home my grandparents helped build. My father sounded broken. For the first time in my life, he sounded old. A week later I flew home. The moment I walked through the front door, I could feel the difference. The house felt empty. Tired. Like the people inside. My mother looked 10 years older. My father looked 20. Neither of them knew what to say. Finally, my father sat down across from me. Then something happened that I never expected. He apologized. Not for the business. Not for the money. For everything. For choosing Emily. For forgetting my birthdays. For ignoring my achievements. For making me feel like I wasn't enough. My mother started crying. Then she apologized too. For nearly an hour, neither of them stopped. Years of guilt poured out. Years of mistakes. Years of regret. I sat there listening. Part of me wanted to be angry. Part of me wanted revenge. But looking at them, I felt something else. Sadness. Because for the first time, they understood what they had done. Then my father asked the question. Can you forgive us? The room became silent. I thought about my childhood. The favoritism. The rejection. The loneliness. Then I answered honestly. Yes. My mother burst into tears. My father lowered his head. Relief washed across his face. Then I continued. But forgiveness doesn't erase consequences. Neither of them argued. Because they knew I was right. I agreed to help them. Not because they deserved it. Because I didn't want to become bitter. I worked with financial advisors. Lawyers. Banks. For months, we untangled the disaster. Eventually, we prevented foreclosure. But it came at a cost. My parents sold the house. Sold most of their possessions. And moved into a much smaller place. As for Emily, she expected me to rescue her too. She was wrong. For the first time in her life, nobody saved her. Not Mom. Not Dad. Not me. She had to face the consequences herself. And she hated it. A year later, my parents visited me. Just the two of them. No Emily. No drama. No requests for money. Just family. For the first time in my life, I felt like their son. Not second place. Not the backup child. Their son. And strangely enough, that was worth more than any inheritance they could have ever given me. The end.